Blogtalk Radio.
From somewhere in the marshy glades of the Chesapeake Bay, in the land of pleasant living, this is the Real-Time Music Network's radio blog, brought to you each and every weeknight at 8 p.m. here on blogtalkradio.com. Here, for the next hour, we'll talk about mainly independent music, with any topic as fair game. Live call-ins are encouraged. To call in, dial 347-308-8792. I'm your host, Lee Townsend. Welcome. Okay, note to self. Get some new intro music. Hi, everybody. This is not, as the intro would suggest, a new age or hypnosis show. I'm your host, Lee Townsend. Welcome to the Real-Time Music Network. This is our Maiden Voyage, our premiere show of what we hope will be a long and prosperous and fun time, bringing you the best in indie music, weeknights, Monday through Friday, from 8 o'clock. Here, let me explain it to you. Let me read this blog to you that we posted today, in case you didn't have an opportunity to see it. Real-Time Music Network launches Internet Call-In Audio Blog Show is the title. The Real-Time Music Network launches a new Internet radio call-in audio blog show on April 8, 2013 at 8 p.m. Eastern. The one-hour show will air weeknights Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., but then you already know that. The show will be mainly centered around independent music, both live and recorded, but really no topic if it is off limits. If you want to call in and talk about married gays arming themselves with assault weapons to defend us against the impending alien invasion, that's fine. Or their right to use medical marijuana because they've been laid off in the sequestration, which was caused by the furor over Kim Kardashian's butt enlargement plastic surgery, that's fine too. Seriously. The show is going to focus on issues relevant to indie music, and we're also going to feature guest artists to come on the show, and do interviews and play some of their music. There's a great lineup of guests already in the works. This Maiden Voyage show has no scheduled guests, and you'll hear host Lee Townsend, that would be me, talk about the state of the indie live and recorded music world, and begin to address the issue of the decline of the support of new, fresh, independent music, its causes, the state of the musical union today, and maybe even discuss some potential cures. This is just your host's 2 cents worth. All callers are welcome to call in and, in fact, encouraged to contribute to the discussion. This is your network. We can only stem the bloodletting by pulling together. The call-in number is 347-308-8792. I don't need to read you the website because if you're listening, you're already here. Welcome. I want to give you a little bit of background to kind of get up to speed to talk about what the show is about and how we got here. First off, we do encourage call-ins. We do encourage dialogue. We do encourage participation. This is a show for everyone, really. The only ground rules that we have are that we be civil with each other. It's okay to argue and disagree, but when we go to personal attacks, that's when the X button's going to get hit. Other than that, anything's pretty much fair game. To give you a little background, I've been a pro musician for over 40 years now, and also an engineer in both broadcast realm and the recording realm as an engineer, producer. And that's been for the past 40 years, but I've been a music lover all of my life. And I've noticed more and more so that things have changed with respect to live original music over the last several decades. Now, that is not unusual. The only constant in life seems to be change. Change is good, but this is a change that hasn't been so good. We're going to discuss on this show some of the reasons why things have declined, what we can do about fixing them, and hopefully pull together as a community, as a music community, to make things better. Music community also not only including musicians, but also including people who love music. It used to be, I remember a very, very long time ago, that everybody kind of had their own little camp. Speaking of specifically the band type scenario, every band, I hesitate to say band camp because I'm going to hear about it from Bev, our producer. She's big on the band camp thing. But we did have a camp, our own separate little branding, whatever you want to call it. There wasn't a whole lot of fraternization between bands. I mean, sure, we were friendly and, we shared dates and this, that, and the other, but as far as playing interchangeable musicians, not so much. Everybody was pretty much branded. There were, a lot of groups were paired together frequently because they were, shared the same stable space with a management company or a booking agency. It seems in the recent years that the advent of technology has changed all that to a large degree, and to a lesser degree, a few other factors. We look at, the old adage that, really the live music scene was about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, the sex, STDs came around several decades ago, and not just nasty, not just little ones where you could get a shot and everything would be fine in a few days, but there was diseases that came around that could actually kill you or just stay with you forever. That quelled a lot of that activity. Drugs. It was generally a party atmosphere. There was a lot of drug burnout, let's face it. A lot of issues centered around drinking and where the party kind of spun out of thing. And besides, it's not as much in vogue as it once was. The drinking age fluctuations caused a fair amount of confusion over the decades. First it's 21, then it's 18. No, it's going to make it 21. And all centered around that was, of course, the crackdown on DWIs. It's led to that just those factors have led to a demise in a lot of the music scene around town. And then you pile on top of that the MTV and the VH1 generation. Back when we started, music was available on vinyl. It's really hard to copy vinyl. And then cassettes came around, and they put a hurting on the industry, on the record industry, the recording industry in general. So to continue the cat and mouse game, the record companies, I guess, rallied with the propeller heads, and they came up with this CD technology that nobody could copy. You had to buy these discs, and you couldn't copy them. Well, that changed in the next step, and finally, now we have the internet, and we're in the MP3 world. Now, I'm not saying any of that is bad. Technology has to progress, and people have to grow up. It's kind of an adapt to survive kind of scenario. What we've seen over the years is the large venues have all dried up. I remember, we used to be able to play 7 nights a week in large venues and make not a great living at it, but we could eke out a living doing it. Nowadays, those venues are all dried up and gone. And the most recent in the Baltimore area, where this show originates from, the most recent casualty has been the Record Theater, which was a great concert venue. It just wasn't supported. Even still, a lot of the music, much of the activity and the whole culture, it was really centered around the alcohol business, more about partying than actual music. Really wasn't that much. I mean, it was about music, but you were there to sell drinks, basically. With changing generations, that whole concept has morphed also. The larger venues dried up overnight. Most of what you have anymore is just little roadhouses that either feature no cover or low cover charges just to entice people in. The idea is to just what we want to hear, or what the owners want to hear of the establishments that we play in, are the cash register ringing, and they couldn't care less. Not in every case, but very frequently they couldn't care less who was in there. I know it sounds like I'm a little whiny and pointing fingers and saying, well, it's the club's fault and people don't come out, people don't party, and it's not about me, what about my music? It's really not. That's really not at all where I'm going with this. And again, I encourage you, if you'd like to contribute to the discussion, I'm only giving my opinion, folks. If you want to call in, give an alternate viewpoint, or to back up what I'm saying is, yeah, this is the way it is, 347-308-8792 is the number. The survivors are those who are here for the music, not the partying. A lot of times, we started, let's face it, quite honestly, we started in the business to get girls. A lot of guys, anyway. Not all, but most. Maybe that changed, over the years. They've gotten the girl and gone away happy or whatever, or they've their tastes have changed, where they realized something clicked with them, where there's something about this music thing that's in my soul, and I have to do it. Some have had their dreams dashed against the rocks of the reality that making a living in music is really hard work, and it takes a lot of luck as well. The sad fact is that the financial returns aren't really all that great. Those who have remained have discovered the secret behind the music, their love for it. The music still survives. What we've seen in the last several years has been a change in the whole musical culture. Sure, everybody was friendly and everything, but whereas before nobody used to play with anybody else but their own band, there's a lot of what I call musical incest going on. It's a necessity. The large camps, the band camps have largely dissolved, and now seemingly everyone plays with everyone. The number of degrees of separation has gone down pretty dramatically. As a viable lifestyle, a lot of musicians have stayed in the alcohol business mindset, and sadly, they end up spending much of their careers chasing what is known as the $100 per night threshold. And that, really, we've seen the situation denigrate over the years, where it's God, we'd love to make $100 per man per night. But it's become more like 80 and then 60, in some cases 40, and sadly, in other cases, people are paying to play. It's all well and good. If you want to do that, then you can quite possibly make more money. If you're in it for money, you could probably make more money tending bar or stocking bars. If the real music is in you, it's a different story. It's all been kind of a double-edged sword. You know, the musicians have bowed down to the market deflation over the years, and as I said, in many cases actually ending up paying to play. There must be some reason for this. Somebody who would look like, an accountant, or somebody or a business consultant, or somebody who would only look at your bottom line. They just say, when they tally up the cost of equipment invested, the time that's involved in rehearsing, the drudgery of having to move your own gear, the gas they put in the cars, and even just to get to the gigs, not to mention the wear and tear on their autos and on their lives. You know what it is, folks? It's supply and demand. You have a consistently diminishing number and sizes of venues in which to play. And folks in the alcohol business, in the alcohol music business, are still trying to eke out a living there. People who only do it for the music as well are in there too. And they're all vying for the same 15 minutes on stage. There's a huge demand and little supply. What are the reasons for that? Well, I think, and there again, this is just my opinion, it's based on the statements I've made earlier in the show here. In many ways, it's confused the public somewhat. The branding has gone away. The band camps have gone away. The marketplace, as a result, has become so completely segmented as a result of many factors, not the least of which is personal entertainment devices. Now, this can even lead us into another sidebar discussion, and the topic that it's not a new topic, and it's been kicked around quite a bit, but it's interesting that the technology meant to bring us together has had, in effect, an opposite effect, whereas it's segmented us and isolated us a lot more from each other. Now, there's a way of using the technology. This is something that we want to change. This is where we're coming up with the concept of the real-time music network, which is only solely around to support and promote and help out the independent music industry. We've found, generally speaking, that the public pretty much only supports their friends. Nothing new there. That is nothing new there. But here's a perfect example. Here's a great case in point. In the Baltimore area, you see several promoters around town who put together what amounts to the old battles of the bands scenario. There are no great prizes offered anymore. That used to be, oh gosh, you could get a halfway decent cash prize of more than what most bands make playing gigs nowadays. Or they would get the holy grail, the recording contract, where they get to have a single, several hundred singles recorded and pressed and put out. Well, no more. These battles of the bands may offer small cash prizes, but really the big prize is bragging rights. And it really makes it appear that this is basically just a ploy to get asses in the seats. So look at the economics of it, the plain old economics of it. Each band, okay, you have a scene where you promote a show, you have 12 bands come out for this, quote, competition, and they play a short set for free. Now, generally, it's not too difficult for any band to put together a short set of music. Each band, getting back to the point, each band brings 15 of their diehard fans. And over the course of the evening, you, or rather the bar owner, has 180 people in there buying drinks. That's okay. It has its place, folks. It really does. It's a way for groups who may be trying to get exposed or exposure, or groups that are trying to expose themselves, or for ego purposes or whatever. It's okay for the short haul, but it's ultimately, I believe, damaging to the industry in general. And here we go with, there again, there's the old dichotomy of the alcohol business versus the true music business. Something started to happen a few years ago with respect to the indie music scene. That has breathed some fresh life into the music biz. In a lot of cases, it's just been kind of mismanaged and or underutilized. Hey, Lee, what is the indie music scene? Indie music is independent, unsigned music from an artist. Thank you. Okay, you're welcome. Why is it important? The old record company model, and here I go. Let me get out my soapbox here, as if I'm not already on one. The old record company model is pretty much passé now. Record companies started out there was a large number of record companies that were all, and they actually had talent scouts and A&R people, and they were signing and discovering groups. It really happened. Not so much anymore. The old record companies have kind of morphed and changed themselves over the decades, so there's really only maybe 2 or 3 real large, heavyweight record companies that are still out there. They either squashed the smaller guys or absorbed the smaller guys. And let me tell you, they completely, totally missed the boat on the internet technology, and they severely underestimated it and are playing catch up right now. The old record model, for those of you who have been through it, through having been lucky enough and fortunate enough in their musical careers to have worked with recording and that sort of thing, and had record deals, know that the old scenario, which has gotten worse these days, where really at best, the large record companies know nothing about music, and they only care about the bottom line. Whoa. Wow. Something just went flying by me here. Anyway, sorry, lost my train of thought. I went away, but I'm back now. At the best, they're just large banks. At the worst case, they're pretty much just scam artists. How do you say that? Why do you say that? Well, I'll tell you why I say that. Because the old model was you would get, let's say, $100,000 advance from the record company to do your recording. And then that gets charged off with your living expenses, your a very, believe me, very modest pay draw for producers' expenses, the studio costs, cost of tape back when they used tape, that sort of thing, would eat up that whole budget. Well, this is money that you were as an artist, you were on the hook for, that you only paid back through record sales. And an artist would be lucky if they got maybe 20 cents per record sold, which went back to recouping the advance money that was given to them to do it. Oh, yeah, but they get to tour and all that stuff. Well, sometimes. It doesn't work, folks. It doesn't work. Anyway, that was the sidebar discussion on old record companies, which the indie marketplace has kind of opened that up and filled a real gap and filled a real void that is very, very much needed. And who started that? Who started the indie marketplace? The CD manufacturers. And frankly, I can't thank them enough for doing that, for opening up that opportunity. And then, they were wiser than many of the record companies were, and they ended up getting the internet on board and making downloads available and selling downloads. The bottom line, the end of that story is that the musician gets to retain most of the money, which is great. It's like I said, folks, nobody's getting rich doing this. We're this is something that's in our bones, it's in our soul, it's something that we have to do. That's all well and good. It'd be great to be able to, I don't know, pay some bills or something like that with what you make from it. There's this opportunity for indie musicians in the indie marketplace who write some great, terrific music. And we're going to be featuring a lot of those artists in upcoming shows, which I'm very pleased. This show has, since we announced it, we only announced it over this past weekend. It seems to be getting a great groundswell of support already. And a lot of folks are looking for a place. So I think we're an idea whose time is maybe come, and maybe a little late to the party, but we're here. The opportunity for musicians now is all they need to do. They can create the music. All they need to do is get it packaged and promoted. They can do all that themselves now, or pay somebody to do that. Now, the thing with indie music is it's pretty much an a la carte kind of deal. If you want CDs, you can get CDs. If you want to do downloads, you can do downloads. If you want to do sell download cards, you can do that. Each of those there's a little charge, there's a little surcharge for doing that. And I seem to be losing one of my computers. Oh, no. Oh, dead battery. Got it. Okay. Well, the RT Music, real-time music, we have our own website. It was launched about a month ago. We're kind of in the development process of it. We're ramping it up right now. We started undertaking it, thinking that we could do this in 2 to 3 weeks or so and get everything up and flying and everything will be happy. But we started really looking into it, developing the site, and developing the concept, and realized, hey, this is going to take 6 or 8 months. And originally, we did have plans to do a radio call-in talk show, but not just yet. However, it seems like it has to be now, which is why we just went ahead and decided this past week to pull the trigger and go ahead and start ramping it up. There's a need for this, folks. There really is. We have to pull together as a community. The idea behind Real-Time Music Network is to gather musicians together, provide resources for them to successfully promote their careers. You know, we would worry about you have the music business. The musician would worry about the music, and we'd worry about the business end of it. And you know, at the end of the day, the artist ends up walking away with the lion's share of the profit. We do this because we love music. I had an opportunity this past January to visit Europe for a week, and while I was there, I've been checking out the music scene there. You know, socialism notwithstanding, where the artists are actually paid by the government to be artists. They have a really interesting and viable alternative to this question. And we've just lost our computer. Life is good, folks. I don't know what. Okay, show's over. No, I know the idea of what's going on over there in Europe is pretty much to put together old-fashioned group tours to promote their music. Okay, you can't do that in a Baltimore marketplace. You can't do that in just a Philadelphia marketplace. You can't do that you have to make every single gig that you play an event. If you're really going to promote your individual, your music, what's in your spirit, what's in your soul to do, you have to make every show an event. And the bottom line is, in a single marketplace, I can tell you from experience, you can only go to the well but so many times. Folks will come out, if you properly put a show together, you can do well with it, but you can't go to the well with it too many times because it won't be so special. This is simple 101 stuff, folks. So what our vision and what our concept was to develop a network of folks in various marketplaces, really at first just concentrating on the Mid-Atlantic region, where we would chain together venues, radio stations, develop relationships with these folks and other similar and like networks of people that may not be, involved in a larger scale thing. The idea is to tie everybody together. This is how we can kind of make it through and kind of break through to the other side. If we can expand on our geographical areas, then that would afford us a little more of an ability to create an event, have it be an event wherever we go. We're looking for the Real-Time Music Network to run between the marketplaces of New York City, Philadelphia, Atlantic City beaches, Maryland, Delaware beach shorelines, Baltimore area, Washington area, Richmond, Virginia, and all the way down to Tidewater, Virginia, as our main thrust area. But before you can fly, you have to run. Before you run, you have to walk. Before you walk, you have to crawl. So we're crawling up to it. We're ramping up to it. We welcome your comments. We welcome your calls. The call-in number, 347-308-8792. This is the Real-Time Music Blogtalk Radio Show. Anyhow, so what we have here is a bunch of people that are all scratching their heads, and I am one of them as well, trying to figure out how can we get people to come back out again. To come back out. We can't make them, you can't make them love your music, and you can't make them, you can't make them like you. But I think a lot of it really has to do with the confusion because of the loss of branding of the musicians. There are some people who are in town, and we'll have some guests on that are fighting the good fight. They're doing the, they're doing it. They're doing what they love. Like I said, folks, ain't nobody getting rich doing this. But we're expressing ourselves. We're giving something out, and it's an expression of what and who we are, what's in our hearts to do. We intend to bring that to you on this show on a regular basis. We intend to address topics that need discussion. God only knows, I don't have all the answers. Once again, I'm only expressing my opinion. The intent of this network is to really pull us together. If we can brand ourselves as a consortium, as a group of people that are kind of in this together, we may be able to turn the tide. We may be able to gather some momentum, which is what we're hoping for. We did this radio show. We just decided to do this radio show, not on a whim. I mean, it has been a part of the plan. It has been accelerated, though. Quite frankly, doing such a hefty show schedule as we have, it's Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. here on Blogtalk Radio. It's something that you have the show. Of course, that's only an hour, but then you have an hour or hour and a half or so show prep that you need to do before every program, and that takes a lot of time out of the course of a week. So the amount of time I can scarcely afford the time to do it. Or no, actually, I can't afford the time to do it, but I'm going to anyway. It costs money to do this. I'm not asking for anybody to do it. It's not a lot of money. It's money that I can scarcely afford to do. But in a lot of ways, and I was discussing this on a future guest, with a future guest in a chat earlier today, that this is something that I can't afford not to do. So here we are. This is a show that we've started. It's a show about your music. If you're a musician, it's a show about your music. If you're a music lover, it's a show about the music that you love. And nobody, please say Freebird. Ray, if you're listening, don't say Freebird. This is, after all, a Freebird-free zone. So what are we going to be doing with the real-time network, the regular network? Well, we're going to be putting together a list of resources for musicians, for indie artists. We're going to hook people up with people that need hooked up. We're going to provide basically a referral service. We're going to listing similar to to other sites in town that have consolidated who's playing where. But we have plans on automating that information so that anything that's published on the web will be kind of grabbed and then put into a searchable database. So if you want to have the opportunity to go out and see somebody, then you're more than welcome to. And I see we have a caller calling in. And hello, caller. You are with us. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Lee. This is PJ.
PJ, I knew it was you. I knew it. I saw you in the chat room, and I'm so pleased you called in. Thank you for calling.
Well, thanks for letting me call in. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, but I had stuff, And I've been listening, and first of all, I want to hear Freebird, but second of all,
yeah.
Second of all, I like everything that you're saying. It just seems so hard. It seems like a pretty big goal when all of us musicians have our own agenda, and they all seem to be different.
That's an excellent point. It really is, and this is why we're really kind of appealing to the core of musicianship first, and it's not as dire as it would seem, PJ. Just in announcing this and pushing it, pushing it forward in time, I've gotten a lot of response, and really you'd be amazed at how many people really kind of feel the same way about what's needed here. The way we get there, we don't know. We're still trying to figure that out. But I firmly believe that there's strength and safety in numbers. And I think that we can have at least a half a shot of turning the tide if we form a collective of sorts. That's a really, that's, I don't know the answer. If I knew the answer, this would be a paid show, I'm asking for input, from folks as well. What do you think?
Gee, I don't know, but I agree that I hear a lot of the same positive buzz from a lot of musicians, whether they're musicians who've just started or musicians who have been doing this for 100 years, whether they're musicians who have had mild success or no success. I tend to hear the same positive things, but I guess I kind of feel like, well, how do we put the proof in the pudding when we're all so different? We all have our own agenda. We're all, I think a lot of times we talk a good talk, and then how do you put your money where your mouth is when really you've got to put food on your own table first, that type of thing. So it's not just a money thing, but, you want your songs to get played, or you want to have your moment to shine, whether it's performance or whatever. You feel what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I actually do. And I appreciate the comment and the point. And I don't know. I'm doing the only thing I know how to do, and that's try to pull people together and to provide a forum where we can do that, where we can discuss these issues, where we can discuss the topics. Yeah, I know. How many of us as musicians have sent out to 1,000 of our friends on Facebook invitations to really pretty significant upcoming gigs, and if you're even fortunate enough to get a response, you can really count on maybe 45-50% of those who say, yeah, I'm coming, or and then the maybes drop down to even more than that. And right. I understand things come up and things happen and plans change and situations change, but the bottom line is, we do at some point have to start putting our money where our mouth is, because it is becoming, and you know what I'm talking about, it's becoming more and more dire every day.
It is, and I kind of see that desperation starting to lead to negativity, which I think it's contagious. I think it's caustic when that happens, because then I hear musicians talking about taking these types of things personally, looking and keeping tally and keeping score about who showed up to what, where, when, and that's not what any of this is about. There's something bigger. Yeah, and something bigger than us as people and something bigger than us as musicians is happening out there that maybe we can help contribute toward turning that into a positive wave, because the negativity that's starting to pull us down, I think it's just contagious. It's infectious. It'll just keep spreading.
Well, it can. You're right. And this is what we're trying to do is, like I said, we're trying to do something that's positive, something that really supports music. I know I've just been bitching and whining this whole show about, how bad things are. But there really is, not only a light at the end of the tunnel, but there could be, a really good shot at having a rainbow at the end of the tunnel. Life is about change. There's no two ways about that. We go through many changes throughout the course of our lives. and it never stops. That's the only constant, is change. It would be nice to see, I've made the comment in several instances where it almost feels like live music has gone the way of vaudeville. Okay, that's fine. And back to my earlier comment at the beginning of the show, it's adapt to survive. We have to adapt to the technology. We have to adapt to the way things are being presented. It's the old, regular, Thursday night, late night, red cup, ladies' night is at the big nightclub doesn't work anymore. It's not there anymore. So there are other places. There are some venues around town that are only about the music, and places that don't even serve alcohol. I mean, they serve sandwiches and coffee, and and they're great. They're great venues. Some of them are really terrific sounding rooms and a lot of fun to play. And what do? You work for the door. There's no guarantee. Right. So if you can get yourself properly promoted, if you can make your show an event where you're not just filling a schedule, if you can make your shows an event, then you'll reap the benefits of that. I think that's a part of the supply and demand thing. Your thoughts?
I can't disagree with anything that you're saying. I like that. I've been hearing from you and other people that it feels like the wave may be coming back around for positive change as far as live music is concerned and for public support for live music. I can't think of a better speaker for whatever spirit it is that we're all trying to collectively implement than you. As I've told you before in person, your people skills, I think, are what set you apart as a musician, because there are plenty of people who can command presence on the stage, and frankly, they're assholes in person. And then that only takes you so far. So when you have a nice bedside manner and know how to talk to people and make them feel good that they're having a conversation with you, that's a talent unto itself, and I really strongly believe that you possess that. And that gives me a lot of hope for Real Time Music Network.
Well, that's very kind of her. I appreciate the very kind words. Thank you for the flowers, BJ. I'll send you a check next week.
But I mean it.
No, I know, hon. It's quite. I know the challenges that you're dealing with right now, and I think you are doing the exact right thing. You are knuckling down and you're going for it, which is, if it's in your heart, if it's in your soul, if it's something that you have to do it, come hell or high water. And a lot of times it is hell, but it's a means that we have to express what's in us. It's for me and personally, playing music is a sanctuary. It really is. I just kind of go to the happy place,
Right.
We can do it together. We can pull together. Really, I think a lot of it does. Oh, before I forget, there is this one other little factor that has been brought up by several folks lately, and that's, well, you're just an old geezer. You've been around for 40 some years. You're just an old guy. Move over and let the young kids come in. Well, that's all well and good. The young kids are welcome to come in. Come on in and play. Where? The only thing that negates that statement is the fact that all of the venues, no lie, PJ. I mean, I remember back in the day, we used to be able to, we could play, we would play 34 dates in 30 days, somewhere between, Baltimore and Ocean City, and had played at packed houses all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as an old geezer, where are those places today? It isn't just us. It's an epidemic, and it crosses over all age barriers. Now, maybe the young and up and coming, quote unquote, party set still still thrives, but it's nowhere near on the scale and scope of what it was before. It's a shame. It's a tragedy. There we go. We have new technology that has to be used in new ways. The technology, as I mentioned in a little bit, made some comments earlier in the show, was how technology that was meant to, put us in better contact with each other has ended up isolating us.
Right.
And I mean, the technology is there, and the technology is going to continue to evolve and grow. And we need to be, in my opinion, aware of, how we can change that isolation thing into, even if it's just a headphone splitter where we both listen to the same damn MP3, the same iPod, that kind of thing, where it's a shared experience. That may have something to do with it as well. I don't
know that I'm actually following you. I'm sorry.
Okay. Technology, people, we have the internet, we have Facebook, we have this, that, and the other, and it's meant to bring, and in a lot of ways, don't get me wrong, in a lot of ways it does bring people together. But how many times are you, sitting at a restaurant trying to have a conversation with somebody that's on their phone going, boop, 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 boop?
Right.
And
right.
Dig it. I'm guilty of it, too. I do it, too. I'm going to try to stop, not do it as much, and try to be a little more respectful and not take phone calls when I'm out at dinner or something like that, unless it's really important, But this is technology meant to bring it together, but it kind of fractures a lot of other relationships in the meanwhile. There's a way of employing the technology and using the technology. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there is a way to get it to its intended use of really drawing people together. This radio talk show is a first step, at least for me and for our little network and our little group of friends, to do that, to be the first step in doing that, in pulling people together.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I had the, everybody says, well, yeah, I'm going to listen in, I'm going to call in, and so far we've had exactly one call so far. And I'm grateful that you did call. I appreciate that, because you brought up some good points. This is a dialogue.
Well, we felt the same way. But see, the thing I see, and I don't understand it, is I see people who are friends of mine who are teenagers, who are in their 20s, and who are in their 30s. Mm-hmm. And there is, I don't even know if I would use the word isolation, but I know I can always catch them online. And I also know that probably the next time I'm going to see them is when somebody dies or somebody gets married. And I don't get that. But then I have all my friends who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who I know that if they come out, if they say, oh, hey, I plan on seeing you this weekend, or, hey, I'd like to get in touch with you and talk on the phone whenever, I know that I can actually hear a real live voice, or I'm going to actually see a real live person. I don't know if it's technology, if it's a generational thing, if those are both going hand in hand, but I notice a real strong trend like that. And, I come from where I love to use the technology to my advantage and to the band's advantage, but there's nothing wrong with sitting down and writing a thank you note, like with a pen and paper.
Yeah. What's
and
that?
There's nothing wrong with, instead of going and checking out somebody's YouTube videos and you make nice comments, that's awesome. You need that online, right? But How about, hey, I saw your show live in person the other day. I could only stay for an hour, but that goes a lot farther than 45 comments on YouTube. See what I mean?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, that's an interesting point. I'm going to ponder that, and I'm going to think about that, and we're going to talk about that when you guys are on. This is PJ from Chug-a-Lug, and she has graciously agreed to be one of our guests in an upcoming show, and we're very much looking forward to that show. as well.
I am too. Can I sign off now?
No, you have to stay. We have 5 minutes and 16 seconds left. And said, no, of course you can go. Thank you so much for calling in, PJ, and we'll talk with you soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Lee.
Thanks for the call.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, well, good. So, thank you for the call, and thank you for bearing with me as we got through this very first episode of an endless, me prattling on, mindless diatribe about the state of the music industry and where we're going. We have some really exciting guests coming up, some nice shows planned out for you over the next couple of weeks. I'll tell you, tomorrow night's show is going to feature award-winning singer-songwriter Tony DeNikos, and we're going to be not only talking for a freaking hour, we're going to be playing a lot of music, and we're going to be talking and hearing stories and war stories and inspiration stories, and maybe even address things about the business, the music business, get other folks' take on it. There again, this is a format and a forum that we are all in here together, folks, and we need to pull together. If there's any way out of this well, we're going to have to stand on each other's shoulders to do it. Upcoming shows we'll be featuring Bobby Hurd. Baltimore bands from the 70s, 80s, and 90s has been a very powerful force in bringing some of us geezers together in reminiscing, and it's really reconnected a lot of old friends and old bandmates and people who've lost touch over the years. We'll be speaking with the managers of that Facebook page. Congratulations, by the way, on your 1,500 member. An upcoming show will be having the Impact Society, which is Danny Brannon's group, who is doing some wonderful work using music as a vehicle to help at-risk and underprivileged and latchkey kids, that sort of thing. So I'd be interested in hearing. And PJ is involved with the Impact Society band as well. Our last caller. Other guests coming up. Frederick Tepper is on the list. The legendary Tom Carson, Iron Man Rob Fahey, the inimitable Jeff Ritzman, and we're going to be and Chug Lug, of course, as I mentioned earlier. And I think Bev, our producer for the show, has lined up quite a few other special guests, and we're really looking forward to that, to announcing that. Once we get the dates nailed down, we'll have other shows where we will be having guests on, and we'll be talking about a topic that came up on some friends' radio show last week, as far as the line in the sand between Washington, Baltimore, and Philadelphia, and what we can do to erase that. Other shows include the Vinyl Revival. We're going to be having talking about the revival, the resurgence of vinyl in the world, which is great, and have stories and a take of somebody, of a recording engineer, somebody who works on the other side of the glass. Another topic is the age barrier, which we just kind of talked briefly about, but we'll get more into it as we go along. We'll have radio DJs as guests on, and we're going to even have some pre-recorded shows that feature nothing but music. You don't have to listen to me, folks. You can just dig on the music. I want to thank you all for joining us for our Maiden Voyage show, episode number 1 of the Real-Time Music Network Blog Talk Radio show. I'm your host, Lee Townsend, and I thank you all for joining us. Come on back tomorrow night, every weeknight, Monday through Friday, from 8 to 9 p.m. Just an hour. And the shows will also be archived if you want to listen to them at at your convenience. They'll be available for download as well. The website, www.rt-music.net. Give us a call. Thanks for joining us. You've been terrific. I'll say good night, everybody. And I don't have any of that boring outro music here. We're going to get some new music in here.